Garry Paskwietz joined by John Jackson to talk about an emotionally tough loss for the Trojans on Saturday, 38-34 against the ASU Sun Devils. Let's start at the end, JJ, with the Hail Mary pass by ASU. Give your thoughts on what you saw on that play.
Well, the first thing, if you're Steve Sarkisian, that you have to consider is what is Arizona State going to do? Are they going to try to get in field goal range, which would have taken about another 15-yard completion? Try to, the clock would have stopped after the first down, and then they would have had enough time to get up and clock it, and then try a last-minute field goal. Or are you going to bank on the fact that they're going to go and try the Hail Mary? Of course, they chose to go for the Hail Mary, and I think that the only thing at that point, and the Trojan coaches played them for trying to go for the first down. So I can't fault them on that part. The one part that I think that they needed to do is when they saw them lined up in that Hail Mary situation, the players on the field, especially some of the leaders, need to start to play that Hail Mary. They need to make the adjustment. It's like playing street football. You have to make the adjustment. You don't always have your coach there to tell you exactly what to do. That's where things started to go wrong. Because they let Jalen Strong get that free release down the field, and he was the only receiver over 6 foot for ASU, and he got that clean release. That obviously caused a lot of problems. But the other thing was the Trojans weren't in position or had the right personnel, in my opinion, back there to try to defend against those passes. I would have loved to see, a Darius Rogers back there, or even a Nelson Aguilar, or even another defensive back, quite frankly, back to help defend, especially on the back end, so you didn't lose the game in the last second. So that's the first thing that, the first couple things that should have been done. At the end of the day, somebody has to go up and make a play on the football. I mean, the ball is thrown 45, 50 yards in the air. One of the Trojans, one of the players have to go up to the highest point and make that play on the football. That was really the most disappointing thing for me.
And to your credit on the radio broadcast, as ASU was lining up, you said twice, somebody better get strong, and you turned out to be correct.
Well, he had a huge day, and whenever you have a player like that that's so dynamic, I mean, Arizona State was trying to go to him in every facet of the game. Even the onside kick was kicked to Strong's side. So, he's a dynamic player, of course. He had a big day already to that point in the game. I just think that whenever you have a team like that, you take away their best weapon, like Arizona State did to USC. They started to play Nelson Aguilar a little bit more closely and double team him a little bit more later in that game. I just think that a lot of things could have went different, but that's why it's Monday morning quarterback.
And we're taking a look back in that Monday morning quarterback philosophy. Let's talk about a couple other plays in that game, specifically a couple series earlier. Kevon Seymour had a situation with under 3 minutes left, gave up a long touchdown on that one.
Well, the beauty of this is, the beauty of this for the Trojans is there's a lot of blame to get spread around. Kevon Seymour had what ended up being man-to-man coverage because of Berkovici starting to scramble out, and it was man-to-man coverage, and he didn't stay on the high side of his receiver and make sure that if he did make a completion, that he didn't make he could tackle him right in place. There was a lot of other things that went wrong too. Darius Rogers had a chance to make a big play that probably would have blown the game open. There was other situations throughout that game where the Trojans had a chance to put it away. It's a learning lesson for this young team that when you have somebody on the ropes, you got to completely knock them out.
And let's talk about that. The Trojans did get them on the ropes. Everyone's focused on that last 3 minutes of football. There was 57 minutes of that game that was USC putting themselves in position to win the game.
And that's the unfortunate thing about it, because when you look at this USC team, you say, let's go into this game and what goals are we trying to accomplish? Mm-hmm. Well, the first thing is rush the football. The second thing is stop the run. The third thing is convert on third down. The fourth thing is stop them on third down. Trojans were spectacular in all of it. 220 yards rushing, only 30 yards for Arizona State, rushing the ball, which was the number one team in the conference, by the way, coming into the game. Arizona State's 3 for 12 on third down. The Trojans 11 for 23 on third down. So all those statistical numbers, say USC should have won the game. And really the truth of the fact is, this is probably the best game that they played the entire year. The unfortunate thing, they didn't come out with a W.
Let's talk about flipping this thing forward now. Getting past this game. And then looking forward to next weekend, you've got a big test waiting for you in Tucson, a team that is playing with a lot of confidence, beating Arizona on the road, putting the top 10 right now. Rich Rod and the Wildcats are going to be waiting.
Well, I can tell you, Steve Sarkisian has that 24-hour rule in place that the players are supposed to let everything go. I don't know if they can, to be quite honest with you. That was a devastating loss, but they're going to have to try to find a way because this Arizona team is definitely for real. Like you mentioned, they beat Oregon, last week, and they look good in doing it. Mm-hmm. The problem is for Arizona is they are pretty simple in their plan, but their plan is, very effective, especially on the offensive side. 4 out of the 5 offensive linemen returned from a year ago. Remember, his offensive line that blocked for Kadeem Carey, who was one of the top rushers in the entire nation a year ago. And the receivers, you thought Jalen Strong was big. Well, Arizona State has 2 of them on both sides of the, on both sides of the field that the Trojans are going to have to contend with. So it's a very very, very good Arizona offense, and I think Arizona's defense is better than what they saw against Arizona State.
And the offense, I think people are starting to figure out why Anu Solomon won 4 straight titles at Bishop Gorman. The guy's a pretty good quarterback. Let's talk, speaking of high school players, you saw your old alma mater last week, Bishop Amat, with a nice victory over Sarah. Congratulations, including a junior receiver in Vons who had a pretty special night.
Well, Tyler Vons is really something special, and I can tell you that every school in the country is going to want him. He has great size at 6'3". He runs well, which is always a plus. But the one thing about him, he goes after and plays balls. Like, he goes up and makes catches. He's not afraid to go over the middle. He plays the game hard. He plays with intensity. He also plays on the defensive side. He had a great interception in the game against Sarah last week. So Tyler Vons will definitely, no question, be one of the top 5 receivers in the entire country. You know, every school's going to want him. We hope he comes here.
And that's our report here from the John McKay Center on the USC campus. For John Jackson, this is Garry Paskwietz, ESPN.